chapter 17 and text 26 and 27. 27 might be on the board here. This chapter is entitled Punishment and Reward of Kali. It's an appropriate discussion for today, Kali Yuga. You have the Sudra sitting on the asana to speak on Bhagavatam and the Maharaj sitting over there. So Kali Yuga has absolutely arrived. Anyway, just like before you have major earthquakes, you have little trembles, warning. So just a little warning, one the little tremble, and Maharaj will be speaking tomorrow. You get the big bang. So please come tomorrow morning. Narayanam namaskritam narochanam narottamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Nastapadeshu badeshu nitam bhagavate sevatam uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtaki. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. So I'll read text 26 and we'll chant text 27. Iyam cha bhumi bhagavata nyasito barasati Srimad Bhagavatada nyase savata krita kotuka. Translation: the burden of the earth was certainly diminished by the personality of Godhead and by others as well. When he was present as an incarnation, all good was performed because of his auspicious footprints. Text 27. We'll chant. So satyashu kala sadvi dubhage vojat itatsati abrahmanya nipavyaja suddha bhukshanti mam iti. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Now she, the chaste one, being unfortunately forsaken by the personality of Godhead, laments her future with tears in her eyes. For now she's been ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers. Repeatedly, now she, the chaste one, being unfortunately forsaken by the personality of Godhead, laments her future with tears in her eyes. For now, she's been ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers. Purport: the Kshatriyas, or the men who is qualified to protect these sufferers, is meant to rule the state. Untrained lower class men or men without ambition to protect the sufferers cannot be placed on the seat of an administrator. Unfortunately, in the age of Kali, the lower class men without training occupy the post of a ruler by strength of popular votes, and instead of protecting the sufferers, such men create a situation quite intolerable for everyone. Such rulers illegally gratify themselves at the cost of all comforts of the citizens, and thus the chaste Mother Earth cries to see the pitiable condition of her sons, both men and animals. That is the future of the world in the age of Kali, when irreligiosity prevails most prominently. And in the absence of a suitable king to curb irreligious tendencies, educating the people systematically in the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam will clear up the hazy atmosphere of corruption, bribery, blackmail, etc. Translation again. Now she, the chaste one, being unfortunately forsaken by the personality of Godhead, laments her future with tears in her eyes, for now she's been ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers. Om Ganat Milandasya Ganam Ganam Sarakaya Sakshushul Mitam Jena Tasmae Shri Guruve Nama Banchaka Patulavisha Kripta Sindhu Bhayevicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. The world is now deprived of Krishna's footprints. This is one of the lamentations that have been spoken. When Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, especially Vrindavan, all of the earth was covered by his beautiful auspicious footprints, these transcendental markings. And what was so special about his footprints that everybody knew who they were, and all living entities in Vrindavan would avoid stepping on them, so they would preserve them for as long as possible. Because nowadays if you have some footprints, very quickly they're trodden on and they vanish. But at the time of Krishna's appearance, these footprints were preserved all over Vrindavan. So devotees would see those footprints and their love and meditation would increase by seeing these footprints all over. So what a beautiful meditation. So now these, it's been said here, these footprints are no longer here. Krishna has left, and Bhumi is lamenting because now you've got these unqualified leaders have taken over the world. And we see we're very early on in Kali Yuga right now, and we're getting very, we're seeing the pages of Bhagavatam come alive. If we look at our modern leadership system that run the world, it's quite chaotic and very frightening. You have these democratic elected leaders that have to somehow convince people to vote for them by hook or by crook, by manipulation. We see now in the news so many are getting arrested for stacking the votes and cheating just to get into government. And their motives are certainly not the motives of the rulers that we hear about in the Srimad Bhagavatam. They're primarily concerned with their own objectives, their own sense gratification, and they'll do whatever it takes to get into power. And then we see the results, you know. And they have to promise all sorts of sense gratification to the citizens, and then you end up with this chaotic. But in one sense, you could say it's an improvement to autocratic, the alternative that we see around the world in some of these wild African countries and Middle East and other places where you have crazy people practically ruling by violent means and all sorts of corruptive methods. It's a bit, democratic leadership is what we're living with, but if you look at our current situation here in Australia, you could say we're quite fortunate. The government allows the Hare Krishna movement to freely go on. They allow us to chant in the street, distribute our books, put on our Rath Yatra festivals, and pretty much freely and propagate Krishna consciousness without standing in our way. So that's we should appreciate the government for that, and they also support us through so many social security systems, medicals, and any Mataji can turn up to a hospital and have a baby if you wish to, or if you're unwell, the government will take care of you at no cost, and they provide for the poor and the elderly. So sometimes we have to be careful we don't overly criticise our government, because we sort of have a very good situation which is favourable for Krishna consciousness, even though there's so many negative aspects. You know, they support abortions and cow killing and so on, but we should nevertheless take note of all the positives that are there and utilise them. You know, they support our gurukuls, so on and so forth. So the lamentation is there, and Prabhupada says, makes a very interesting and important point in the very last line of the purport, because sometimes devotees are pushing for Varnashram. We've got to, introduce Varnashram, otherwise things are not going to happen. We need these saintly kings to rule and re-establish Vedic culture. But Prabhupada mentions here, and in the absence of a suitable king to curb irreligious tendencies, educating people systematically in the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam will clear up the hazy atmosphere of corruption, bribery, and blackmail. So this is Krishna has left, but he hasn't left really, because this was one of the concerns of the sages, that he's appeared in this very dark age. He's manifested in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, and even without saintly kings, even without the perfect social order that we sometimes talk about, Varnashram, these very powerful teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam can infiltrate society, and more importantly, infiltrate the heart of the citizens at large and the leaders. And the Krishna conscious movement is, in a sense, we've become like you could say a small vein of society. We are flowing through society. We have become more influential than we think perhaps at times. And this is how the masses are going to become revitalized in their Krishna consciousness by the preaching of the Krishna conscious movement. This Bhagavatam is so powerful that it's not just ink on paper, it's a transcendental incarnation of the Lord. So Krishna in a sense is left, but he's here at the same time. And by distributing this literature we are seeing the change in the masses in direct and indirect ways. There's a big lift in yoga, and kirtan is becoming a big thing. So it's important that we remain relevant, and we also preach in these fields, and we teach people what real yoga is and what real kirtan is, not that we just let it all go on. So this is the responsibility of the Krishna conscious movement and the individual members, that we infiltrate society in this way, and then the influence becomes very subtle but also very effective. And in this way we can change the world. And even though we might not be able to introduce this so-called Varnashram, perfect social order, which is the perfect social order because it's introduced by the Lord himself, but it's not the goal. It's actually a supportive social structure for practicing, higher spiritual development. It's not simply for a nice lifestyle to have, social order just for the sake of it. So Varnashram without Krishna consciousness is pretty much useless in a sense. So Varnashram and social orders and good leadership are there to support spiritual development of all the citizens, and also to protect all living entities, and mentions here also the animals as well. Such rulers illegally gratify themselves at the cost of all comforts of the citizens. Thus the chaste Mother Earth cries to see the pitiable condition of her sons, both men and animals. So this is again something that the Krishna conscious movement is pushing forward: protection of cows, not just cows, all animals, respect of life and non-violence. And again, we've seen other movements, the vegan movement and the animal liberation movement, these things are coming up. And we take some credit for these things over the years. In the last 50 years we've consistently preached these points, yoga, kirtan, non-violence, Krishna, all over the world. They're gloating now. There's 10 million cases of corona, but we've distributed 560, 70 million books. So it's much more contagious than corona, Krishna consciousness. Because once it gets a grip of you, it's very hard to shake. And it says if you want to enjoy this material world, don't go to the bank in Jamuna and see that little blue boy playing the flute, because you're done. The material life is over. So Krishna consciousness movement is working its way through. Krishna has left, he says here, but he's actually remained here in the form of Bhagavatam. More importantly, he's come in the form of his name, the Yuga Dharma, the spreading of the holy name. And even you can say, most wonderfully, he's actually came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, directly came straight back. It's like he just ducked out for a moment and he was straight back. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is directly Krishna himself. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami very clearly explains this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a super soul in the heart of all living entities. From his body the Brahman effulgence comes. Just to make it very clear that we don't think that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just another saintly personality. He's Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come, and we are preaching his message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throughout the world. So this will counteract perhaps the lack of wonderful leadership that's not there at the moment in our world. Our world leaders are fairly corrupt, even though some of them may or may not have some positive motives. But without God consciousness, it's very difficult to rule properly. I remember Rinanand Maharaj described the modern day Kshatriyas as TV Kshatriyas. Many years ago, it stuck in my mind. And whenever there's conflict or war, they immediately go 5-10 kilometres underground, and they watch it on the screen, and they go get them. All the generals and the presidents, they immediately hide. And what else did he say? He said that with a 50-year supply of whiskey and prostitutes. This is our modern day leaders. So these bygone years, you had these extraordinary chapters, and the Bhagavatam says here, which is, it says here, the burden of the earth was certainly, this is verse 26, certainly diminished by the personality of Godhead and others as well. It's important. So Krishna and the Pandavas actually took on this task of clearing the earth of these unruly kshatriyas, demoniac kshatriyas at this particular time. And Krishna doesn't just take all the credit himself, even though he's ultimately the supreme controller. He loves to perform all these activities with his association with devotees, and glorifies devotees to the point where he drove the chariot of Arjuna into the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So this is Krishna's wonderful qualities, that he's not a puffed up leader as such. Even as a king, he would take counsel. He would, especially very important decisions, they weren't made without advice, especially of Uddhava. Uddhava was one of his closest servants and friends and advisors, and he would, whenever, especially the way they dealt with Jarasandha, that was very carefully considered. And actually Krishna took care of a lot of the business prior to the Battle of Kurukshetra, if you think about it. He took out a lot of demons, especially very powerful demons like Kamsa and Jarasandha and Salva and others. I mean, Jarasandha, he fought 18 different times, and if you read the descriptions that were given, there was many actual, almost a similar size as the number of soldiers in the Battle of Kurukshetra. Many millions of soldiers were cleared. So by the time the Battle of Kurukshetra came, it was almost a level playing field. It was 11-7. It was stacked against the Krishna and the Pandavas. But still, with Krishna on the battlefield and his wonderful devotees there, they became victorious. They were able to establish Dharma again. And now the concern, how's Dharma going to be protected with all these unruly kings in Kali Yuga? And the answer is given. The Bhagavatam is going to be there, the holy name is going to be there, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to personally come inaugurate this Sankirtan movement. So it makes this specific Kali Yuga very, very special. It's not an ordinary Kali Yuga, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, has come and personally, and he's given the brand of bhakti that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has delivered is a very unique and very special brand of bhakti. It's Braj Prem, which is not normally distributed. It's his own personal bhakti in the mood of Srimati Radharani that is given freely to everybody in this Kali Yuga. So this Kali Yuga is extraordinarily special, and our fortune cannot be measured. Our fortune cannot be measured. It's going to take a long time to realise just a little bit of understanding how merciful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been to us, and Srila Prabhupada. And again, the same point can be made when Srila Prabhupada left our direct personal association, his visible presence was left. Again, he's left us with his teachings, his books, his instructions, his temples, his mission, which is, he's never left us really. He's actually here in all these things, and he's in the heart of all these sincere followers. So Prabhupada and Krishna, they never leave the devotees, they're always with us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings have been said that they're going to ultimately unite all the sampradayas. And I was reading the Antya-lila a couple of nights ago. It was Krishnas Kaviraj Goswami was saying that at the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Brahma came in disguise and participated in ecstatic chanting. So he wanted to taste this Harinam Sankirtan. It says Lord Shiva came also. It says in disguise. It says 4 Kumaras came in disguise as human beings also. And so did Shri, Lakshmi Devi. And if you contemplate that statement by Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj, it's actually these are the head of all the sampradayas. They came and danced in Kirtan. They wanted to experience that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy and this special type of bhakti that has been given. So in a sense, we can see that's a hint that the sampradayas, because all the heads, all the bosses turn up and sign up to the party, then it's on for everybody. So we'll see in time these things will happen. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu united he's taken something from all these sampradayas and brought it together and distributed this transcendental nectar. So we don't have to fear too much if we don't have powerful kings out there ruling the earth, and then we don't have a varnashram. Everything can still go on by transforming individual people, distributing Bhagavatam and the holy name. In this way, the world can be changed, and we can see it may be gradual, but certainly changing. And we can certainly imagine in 100 years or so there will be very powerful Vaishnavas higher up in influential society as judges and government leaders and so on. We're getting a hint of that already. Prabhupada said the day will come when all the high court judges will be wearing tilak. So these days will come. So we're in the very early stages, but nevertheless we're feeding this vein through society. We're part of the social tapestry now, and for us to increase our influence means we have to increase our purity. It's the only way we're going to actually influence people, if they become impressed with the character, the behaviour and the pureness of the devotees. They want to know, what are these people doing? There's something special about these people. I want to know more about it. And these 600 million books are out there. They're going to open their drawers and they're going to look in. And then their hearts are going to become further changed. And then ultimately, when it comes to voting for the leaders, they're going to be they're going to get informed from the information from Bhagavatam. What is a true leader? And they're going to be looking for these qualities. And they're going to realise we've met people like this. And we want these people to lead us. This is what happened in time. And we may not see it so much in our lifetime, but this will happen. So, what else can I say? I might not say too much more, even that's early, because it's a short purport. So this is the concern here. The Bhumi is in tears. And now she's going to be ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers. So this is the mission of Krishna consciousness, to eventually overthrow the rulers by re-establishing Krishna in the heart of all living entities as such. So if anyone wants to, Maharaj, if you want to add to this comment or questions at this point, even though it's still fairly early, there's something. Someone push the on switch up there. Anyway.
It's this point that Prabhupada made at the end of the report. I'm wondering if we can explain more what it would look like to systematically educate people in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We in our temples, we have the morning Bhagavatam class. Is that enough in terms of systematically educating people one verse a day? Do you think that we need to have more in place for systematically educating ourselves in the Srimad Bhagavatam?
So, yes, that's Srila Prabhupada established a system, this Nasta Padeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Seva, this daily recitation of Bhagavatam, and it affects the heart, it purifies the heart, it helps the devotees become more fixed in their endeavours to become devotees, to perform pure devotional service. Is it enough? It's certainly the basic program that we follow, but certainly individually we study the Bhagavatam every day. We should be reading the Bhagavatam every day at home, and the word Prabhupada I mentioned in the last class, it uses scrutinizingly. He's very carefully reading these instructions and these purports word for word, contemplating and meditating them, and then teaching those to others. We also have these other courses in ISKCON, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava. So we are educating our members more and more. And if you listen to our leaders these days when they speak publicly, or either in lectures or in interviews, they're very well learned in Shastra, in Bhagavatam specifically, saturated with transcendental knowledge. And that's something that's going to, it is and is going to affect the world more and more. So are we doing enough? Well, it'd be good to get more people to come to class to start with. That would be a good start. We could promote the Bhagavatam class, sell more tickets, and then encourage people to read Bhagavatam. You know, some devotees that have reading groups and they read together, and that's also very powerful to read Bhagavatam in the association of devotees. But most importantly, we've got to live the talk. You know, we have to show by personal and community example what is because the Bhagavatam is basically about establishing our eternal loving relationship with Krishna. That's the Sambandha, the Abhidheya, and the Prayojana of the Bhagavatam is these three things: to establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the goal of our lives, performing devotional service to attain pure love for Krishna eternally. So this is the essence of the Bhagavatam that we want to teach to everybody and practice ourselves. And ultimately this practicing it daily and as much as we can, it becomes contagious. I think Prabhupada was quoted as saying that we need to be oozing out, hearing a chant so much about Krishna that oozes out of us, and people can't help to notice that Krishna is oozing out of us. And it's at the beginning for younger devotees, it may be a little bit of a chore to sit in class and stay awake. But after some time, we develop a bit of an attachment and a taste, and it's something that you can't go without. In anxiety, if you haven't heard the Bhagavatam for the day, read the Bhagavatam. So you don't go to bed unless you read the Bhagavatam. It doesn't matter how late it may be. It becomes part of your life. And this is also the direct teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know, chant Hare Krishna and study the Bhagavatam. Ishvara Puri gave him that instruction. He gave that instruction to his followers. He led by example, because Swamis also, they're absorbed in reciting Bhagavatam, expanding the Bhagavatam through their writings, the teachings. So this is, so we are doing, can we do more? Yes, we can do more. There's always more to do. And you're a young, wonderful devotees, you can take up more. You can do Bhagavatam study groups or as you like. But it's unlimited actually. Another interesting point that was made here when I read is, it says here in the previous verse 26, the burden of the earth was certainly diminished by the personality of Godhead and by others as well. When he was present as an incarnation, all good was performed because of his auspicious footprints. So no one's asked the question, why is Krishna referred as an incarnation? Anyone know? Anyway, he was a scheduled incarnation. There was a scheduled incarnation for this age, at that particular time. And Krishna simultaneously chose that time to appear himself. So even though it seems that the Yuga Avatar, the scheduled incarnation, the demigods explained in the 10th canto, the demigods went to the shores of the Milky Ocean and they prayed to Lord Vishnu to come. So many, even other sampradayas may say, well, so Vishnu is the source of Krishna, because they prayed to Vishnu and Krishna came. So Prabhupada mentions in several places in the Bhagavatam, and the Acharyas expand this point that Prabhupada says Krishna simultaneously appeared in Mathura and Vrindavan. Prabhupada says that very clearly in the Bhagavatam, and it's explained that Krishna, the scheduled avatar, that was Vasudeva Krishna. Krishna came, and then when Nanda came and during the night took him out of the prison and returned to Mother Yasoda, Krishna was there lying there with Mother Yasoda. Krishna is the eternal son of Mother Yasoda, and Vasudeva Krishna was placed down and he re-entered Krishna and And later on, when it was time to go back to Mathura, then Vasudeva Krishna expanded again. And this is the Dwarka Krishna. This is the one that's killing the demons and re-establishing Buddhist principles. That's the purpose of the incarnation. But Krishna, he stayed in Vrindavan, he has another purpose. That's to enjoy with his devotees. And also that when there's Bhoma Vrindavan, Krishna comes and he also picks up the new devotees, the new sadhana siddhis that are coming through. So it's a transcendental roadshow. Prabhupada writes, when you become perfect in Krishna consciousness, at the time of death you are put into the womb of a gopi in some universe where Krishna is performing his pastimes. And this way, it's explained, you attain your sarup, but possibly not your siddhi. That comes through that lifetime of wonderful association with the Nitya Siddhas. And at the end, after 100 odd years, which would be pretty powerful association, then you again re-enter the eternal pastimes of the Lord. So Krishna's coming, this particular visit was twofold there, that is to re-establish Dharma, but primarily to deliver his devotees. Krishna comes for that purpose. Any other questions, comments? Hang once, twice. All glories to the Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Go. What to do. Don't forget, Ramaya Swami Maharaj will be giving class tomorrow morning. Go out there and sell some tickets.